Well, good morning to everybody here in Doha, and a very good morning, good afternoon, or indeed good evening to everybody, depending whereabouts you are in the world, and if you're watching our live stream today. Just over a day to go now until the final Wanda Diamond League meeting of what has been quite the most difficult year for athletics and for sport in general, and of course the world. But we can, for a few hours at least, put that to the back of our minds as we think ahead to tomorrow evening, when 27 Olympic and world medalists will take to the stage at the Qatar Sports Club for one last summer performance. In around 40 minutes or so, we're going to be joined by Hellen Obiri and Timothy Cheruiyot, and before that we'll be asking questions of Sam Kendricks and Elaine Thompson-Herah. But before that, would you please welcome the Assistant Meeting Director of the Wanda Diamond League here in Doha, and that is Khalid Al-Mari.
Thank you, Andy. Good morning and welcome to Qatar for the 11th Doha Meet Wanda Diamond League. It's a pleasure to host you all here once again as we bring you this event under unusual conditions that are affecting sport globally. We have worked tirelessly to deliver you the event at the highest standard and to minimize the challenges. To make sure the international athletic family is finishing the last leg of Wanda Diamond League in Doha with a great experience. I would like to thank each of you for joining us today and helping us promote the very best of athletics. We wish all of the athletes competing the best of luck, and we hope that they have everything they need to give the best. Thank you all.
Thank you very much indeed, Khalid. And we'll just have a very short break now while we replace our Assistant Meeting Director with Sam Kendricks and Elaine Thompson-Herah. Back with you in just a second or two. Okay, we continue here in Doha. I'm absolutely delighted to welcome Elaine Thompson-Herah and Sam Kendricks. They don't need any introduction, but I was up last night and I wrote some anyway, so you're going to hear it. Elaine is the two-time Olympic champion, winning the 100 and 200-metre double in Rio, a World Championship relay gold medalist, and the reigning Pan American champion over 100 metres. She set a world lead of 10.85 when winning in Rome 8 days ago. And before that, I think I'm right in saying, had raced exclusively in Kingston for 2020. Sam, the two-time world champion, Olympic bronze medalist, very shy, quiet, retiring, so please do make him feel welcome. He normally doesn't have much to say for himself. 18 times a Diamond League winner and 2 times the overall champion. A varied season for Sam. Started off by competing in the Inspiration Games in Zurich versus 2 other competitors who were in completely different stadiums. And most recently was part of that stunning competition in Lausanne, finishing second with a season's best of 6 metres and 2 centimetres. So high hopes for both Elaine and Sam tomorrow. And Elaine, if I could start with you. You must have been pleased, I think, bearing in mind where we were as a world, as a sport, back in March and April, to have had the opportunity to compete in a couple of Diamond League meetings at least.
Well, I must say I'm really grateful for Rome and Doha to invite me to these 2 meets. Even though I was performing in Jamaica, but it wasn't at a high intensity, didn't have a lot of competition, but I still put out my 100%. and actually get a 1088, a second hour lead, and I came to Rome, I get a 1085, a leading hour lead. So I'm really grateful, and this helps me to put myself in a good position for upcoming 2021, even though I know most of us are disappointed because we all are preparing for the Olympics, and it has been postponed because of this whole coronavirus. And I think it's best for us because our health is first, and we do take a lot of risks, because I take a lot of risks going to train every day, not knowing who is carrying that virus. So, and also being here, even though I know most of us not having that virus. So I think I'm just really grateful overall.
Did you have any expectation of running quite so quickly in Rome, having had to make that adjustment from being in Jamaica for the entire year previously?
Honestly, I was a little bit surprised because I haven't raced like for so long, well, probably 2 weeks or more. But I know that I was capable of running fast, but not in 85. But I mean, I was putting in the work, and the work, I get the result after. So I'm really excited.
And will the difficulties of this year have any reasoning on your preparation for next year? Have you had to change things already, or will you get to the end of this Diamond League season, this athletic season, and then start your preparations for the following year in the normal way?
Well, nothing much has been changed. Well, pretty much I know my coach. He's a genius, so he has everything planned already. So I'm just working with the boss.
And one last question from me, if I may. You know, you've been there, you've seen it all, you've done it all, you've got the T-shirt and indeed the face mask. But I'm really intrigued because up against you tomorrow in your field will be Amy Hunt from the UK, who's the world under-18 record holder at 200 metres. I won't mention your age, but she is 10 years your junior. I'm just really interested to know, somebody with your experience of life and life within athletics, what advice you would give somebody like Amy as they start their international career. What would you perhaps be able to tell yourself, the Elaine Thompson-Herah of 10 years ago?
What I would tell them is that enjoy life while it lasts. Do not rush, because I mean it's not easy out there, because we do have a lot of setbacks that held us back, and it's nothing to rush. It's just mostly just having fun out there. Great advice.
Great advice. Well, it's going to be a fascinating race, a very talented field up against you.
Thank you.
So we're looking forward to that. And Sam, obviously, we're looking forward to the pole vault. A similar opening question to you, I suppose, in some ways. And despite all the problems, despite all the setbacks we've had as a sport, and indeed as a species, how will you look back on 2020, both personally and in terms of your event?
Well, this certainly has been a strange year, and this is the end of it for so many people. And I think that's kind of a finality that we've gotten used to in the last couple of years. I can steal from Elaine and say we as athletes are just grateful because especially the organizers and managers that have come together to put together these events, especially ones like this, they had to go over and beyond what was expected of them. They had to take an idea that everybody in the general populace would say, don't even try. I've seen it time and time again. Meet directors, agents calling around saying, is this even possible? Should we even try? Will people bark at us for even bringing up the notion of bringing sport back into the fold? And I can tell you, it wouldn't have been possible. I wouldn't have been the guy to be able to get on the road. I even tried to put together a small event with the help of the Wanda Diamond League, IAAF, everybody in between, to just get some sport rolling back in March. And I had the participation. I didn't do any of it hardly myself besides jump, the Garden Clash Challenge. And now we come here to the end of the year, and it's just been an adventure. It really has. It makes my heart beat faster when I get up in the morning for a press conference, and I'm like, oh, they need you now, Sam. I'm like, oh, this is just 2020. It's all about, hey, no good plan survives first contact with a real problem. And we've all just kind of rolled with it this year, and that's been cool. It's been kind of a unifying aspect of the whole year. I mean, I didn't see myself at the beginning sitting here at this table with you and Elaine. Right now, coming up to October, but I'm glad we are here.
We do need you, Sam. We need you very much because, of course, you are the reigning champion, winning that title here in Doha. As you say, very different circumstances, but great to be back.
I said it last year. The people, the organizers here in Doha, kind of put the best product we have as a sport together. And when I first started this traveling that I did 6 weeks ago, I was started in Monaco, and I wasn't even able to get my equipment there. But I wasn't able to bring a set of poles from America. But because, you know, people like the Turkish Airways and everybody in between kind of stepped up even farther, I've gotten new equipment here with me. So I've got my best set, arguably, here to go toe-to-toe with the world's best pole vaulter ever, Mondo. And what better place to do that than probably the site of our greatest competition, which was last year. It's about the same time here.
That was one of the great competitions, and you know we're going to try and replicate that as much as we can. I say we're just going to be sitting there watching you guys do it. But you know, Duplantis is here, Lisek is here, Lavellanie is here. If you're getting excited for a press conference, yeah, you must be getting excited for that event.
I don't know if you can see my hands and my feet shaking, but that's basically, you've done your job if you can make your athletes come here and be excited about what they're doing. You get to put the whole world aside when you step between the lanes of the track. I think Elaine will say that as well. She'll say, slow down and enjoy it, because when you're on the track, it goes fast. It really does. And the whole world melts away. Not that I don't care about the problems of the world, but they don't matter on the lines of the track. They got you here, whatever laws, regulations, bylaws that you had to go through in order to get on the track, they don't matter when you're standing there. It's only about how you can run or how you can jump. And you've done your job well if you can get here excited.
We'll take some questions from the floor in a second, and we also have some questions coming through on the virtual mix zone, which has been one of the great ideas that has been forced upon us in some ways this year. But final question from me, and I saw an interview with you post your event in Lausanne, where of course you'd gone over 6 meters. Again, a tremendous competition. And I was so fascinated by your answer, because you told the interviewer that you'd been forced to wait to vault on occasion, but that was because there were so many other great performances taking place in the stadium. And I thought to myself, A, it's great that you, as an athlete, are aware of the fact that we are trying, or that they're trying to show the public what is important at any one time. But I was just intrigued by your grasp of what was actually happening in the high jump on the track. How do you as an individual keep focus for your event, but equally sit there and go, oh, that was a great high jump by Barshim, or that was a quick race by Elaine? How do you as an individual manage that, compartmentalize that when you're competing?
Oh, that's a good question. This started out as a team sport for me. So even though I was at the corner of the track, far away from everybody in my high school field, I had to be a team captain, and I had to kind of see everybody. I don't necessarily put myself in that role at all here on this world stage, but I kind of see peers doing well across the track, people like Elaine. I'll turn around and watch her start for her race or chat with whoever's there, because we're kind of right in the thick of the action for the pole vault. The whole time I get the best seat in the house. I rarely ever get to buy a ticket for a track meet because I'm jumping. So I just count my blessings that I'm right there in the middle. But when you have to wait, one of my good friends in high school, he was the goalkeeper at on our soccer team, and he was a damn fine one. But he watched most of the game sitting in his corner back at the back of the field. Doesn't mean he didn't have to be every bit as ready for when the ball came his way. And that's the same thing as it is on the pole vault runway sometimes. They're putting on a production. It's a show at a lot of times, and that's how we're going to show our sport to the world. I just got to be ready for my moment when they put the cameras on me.
Well, you certainly were ready in that last meet, and what a good meet it was. Thank you very much indeed for the time being. Do we have any questions from the floor? And could I just ask, if you ask a question, if it's in English, that's fine. If it's in Arabic, that's fine too, but just give me a chance to listen to the translation so I can let the guys know what you asked. So, sir.
In English, both of you, how is it to compete now in the stadiums without? Can you hear me? How is it to compete in the stadiums without fans, and it's like basically competing?
So the camera's
Is good now?
I think.
Yeah, sorry. How is it to compete at the stadiums without fans, and basically where you're competing against yourself now? So for you champions who are used to, fans pushing you and cheering for you,
how is it? And, when you're doing all this travel, how does it feel to, before you hit the track? Like you've come down to Doha, so what goes on in your mind? I mean, because traveling is so difficult of late.
For me, traveling was a little bit scary at first because I have to adjust to the whole social distance or any mask. But after a while, we probably get used to that because we wear a mask every day. And for not having spectators in the stands, it's still I'm getting to adjust to that because, as sprinters, they normally block everything out. We practice ourselves to block the noise out. So for me, running a stadium without anybody is something normal for me. You're training, you're running. Sometimes coach will shout at you that even when coach say, lift your knees or swing your hands. Because you tend to block everything out. You're so focused. Not a sound you hear. So I think I'm pretty used to that. And running by yourself, sometimes that in training to push your body to see how fast you can go. So it's something normal. It's like what you practice, what you preach. So it's something normal for me.
Yeah, when I went to go run in Jamaica one time, that was probably the loudest stadium I've ever been in my entire life in Kingston. And it was, for me, and this is a little counter, one of the most exciting meets I've ever been to. You can ask my coach and my family. Back in my hometown, before I go to a major championships, I'll invite all the people I know in my hometown to come watch my last practice. And that's selfish because I get so much more when there's not just some people watching, but when there's a lot. I'm not a diva. I'm not. It's a chemical thing that just makes you want to provide, want to jump well. And it works. It works with 20. It works with 30 people. But it really works with 50,000. And in London, I never felt more invigorated than when I had the whole stadium to myself, jumping for my last bars at 5.95 for the win. It sparks a different fire in your mind when there's just that many eyes on you. And I'm not a rock star, but I felt like one right then.
And Sam, if I may ask one more. You guys going 6 meters plus, every now and then eclipsing Bubka. Can we say that we are into a new era of pole vaulting where new heights will be set?
Well, wow, what a great question to ask a pole vaulter. It's got a little bit of a history aspect to it. How many years have we been doing this, and how many young pole vaulters are now in the fold? I won't be too long-winded, don't worry, Mr. K. This is 60 or so years after the inception in practice of the bending vaulting pole, and it's gotten into the hands of so many more young, talented athletes. And because sport has to grow, because the base is so large, you get even more talent in the sport. That's true with everything. The young are getting better faster. I think me and Elaine can agree with Amy and Mondo being so much younger than we are that there's no stopping them. You can't. You're not in this sport. You cannot stop the youth from getting better. But when you say things like, we want to eclipse the guys of the past, they set the trend. They really set the bar high, so to speak. And I use that pun too many times in my career. But the very fact is that a new expectation has been set, a new expectation. If you want to play this game, especially against Mondo, you've got to come ready to play harder than anybody in history. And that's a big bit of accountability for pole vaulters. And it's sometimes scary to accept the fact that I might have to be better than all of my forebears just to get some play in this game. And if you're not ready for that, you're not going to find yourself on the track in Doha, that's for sure.
All the best. Thank you.
Great question and great answer, if I may say so. Any more questions from the floor? That's all. We do have our protected microphone, which is going around. George?
The pandemic has been hard on everyone, and the question is to both of you. The pandemic has been hard on everyone, and the Diamond League, from 12 rounds, it was down to 4. But do you also see it as a positive thing because since the meetings are limited, you're waiting for your event, and all through the year, you've been training for it, and you just get that one moment in front of the cameras, and you just go at it like you've never done it before. So do you see it as a positive thing that, I know it's not fully positive, but still, do you see that as a silver lining for what is happening in 2020?
So the question was, is there a silver lining here that although the sport has been condensed, you are still getting the opportunity and you are still stepping in to that spotlight, although in different ways, you're doing it for 11 seconds just under and you're doing it for about 2 hours.
Mm-hmm. Thanks first.
I know a lot of persons wanted to be here, but because some people didn't have a facility to train, while some have, and some people still not taking the risk to travel. They wanted rather to stay back home and do their training. But for me, I think the more race I do, the more better I get. It put me in a position to makes me better for the upcoming season. So sometimes I have to take risks, but with precautions. And I mean, I'm here right now. Tomorrow is my last race, and I think I'm just going to give it everything because I really want to end my season knowing that I'm in a good shape, I'm healthy, and just looking forward for next year. Reset, come better next season.
She's exactly right. It's a reset of sorts, and there's no true championship by that name this year. This is the de facto Diamond League championship, absolutely, because it's the final one of the year. But the truth is, the reset allows no one to dangle the championship in front of you as a reason to hold back right now. In years past, every year I've done as a professional has been with a looming championship, or two, or maybe three, out in front of me. In 2016, there was a World Indoor Championship, an Olympics, and a Diamond League final, and those were always just one step above of everything else I did. So I had that in mind. I said, well, I can't go with reckless abandon here to go for broke for whatever I could do. I have to be there. Not so this year. Like Elaine says, I get better, just like she does, with more and more competitions. But when they're every 4 days, can you heal that fast? Can you keep going? Because it's kind of our responsibility as the top athletes to get out there and compete, just so as you guys put the opportunity out here for us. Now, my silver lining is I got to move into my house that I've been trying to finish for years. Rebecca's back there laughing at me because I've been telling her about this house for 2 years since I won in London, and I finally got to move in. So family life is great back home, but I got to get back on the road to do what I do.
Excellent. Any more from the floor at all? I have a question which has come in from the virtual mix zone in this brand new world that we live in. It's for Elaine. It's from John Mulkeen at World Athletics, and he asks, no woman has won back-to-back double Olympic 100 and 200-meter titles. You could potentially achieve that in Tokyo next year. And he asks if that thought has ever crossed your mind, and if it has, how much motivation does it give you? Good question.
It's a good question, of course. That's a good question, of course. Whew, that's a sigh as well. I mean, after that Olympics, I think I would have been greater, great, like better. And, as athletes, we put our body in a position where it never has been before. You wear and tear muscles, you get injuries and stuff like that. I've never seen myself getting injured. That held me back from doing my best. And I've seen that, I've been through it, and I think I'm overcoming that because I think all of my setbacks and my obstacles, they motivate me. That's why I'm here today, because when I saw that the whole world was shutting down, I could have called it quits and said, okay, I'm just going to stay home and not do anything because nothing's going to happen. I said, no, I'm a champion, I'm a warrior. That's my job. I have to go out there and to perform. And I didn't close it early. I still continue to train because I know sometimes I wake up in the morning, I don't feel like I just want to stay in my bed. But here am I today, running our lead, competing still. And because of you guys hosting us here, it's a privilege. So looking at Olympic next year, I don't want to rush my brain and say, okay, I'm going to get that medal. I just want to take it step by step and day by day because time fluctuates, everything fluctuates. You can run 10:85 today and tomorrow run level 0, where your body goes. So I'm just taking it step by step. I mean, I want to retain my title, but I don't want to just let you guys and say, okay, I'm gonna claim that. I'm just doing my work because if you don't put in the work, you can't get the result that you want. I don't want to put any pressure on myself for next season, so I'm just doing my work and just going to the Olympics with a open mind to just retain my title, but not to rush my brain and say, okay, I need to get that. I'm just working my brain, training my brain to prepare myself for next year. Because I know it's going to be a lot of pressure because I am the double Olympic champion, even though it's 5 years now, but it's going to be 5 years next year, but I'm still working on to retain my title. No rush, no pressure.
No pressure, she says, double Olympic champion. Just one more thought that occurs to me, to you both in some respects. Is there any part of you that says, selfishly, I'm actually quite pleased that Tokyo is another 12, or has been delayed for 12 months because it makes it better for me? Or do you sit there going, hey, I just wish we could have done it, on the proper dates?
You want to go first, Elaine?
Well, for me, I am not mad, I'm not sad, because I started training late because of this injury. I took some time off, resting in boots. So I think I may have to rush to get qualifying times to go to the Olympics and to get in the shape that I want to be. I don't think it would have happened 100%, and to get this year to put everything in place and to get my body ready for next season, I think I'm happy for that. I'm really happy for that. I don't know how anybody else feels. I think we all get this year to just reset, refocus, and to strengthen all the weak areas and to work on our weak parts and just use this year to just build everything. And if it doesn't work, well, I guess we weren't working hard enough. But I'm happy for this year to get everything together.
Cool.
Well, I don't think we'll all know the full impact of this year until next. It can be good for me for moving into my house, like I said, but it can be bad for the sport at the same time if it doesn't come back. Meets fade away because they didn't have the momentum of each year being contested. And it especially hurts the youngest generation of our sport because they need that momentum more than I do. I'm sure I needed every bit of it when I started. I needed more than I had, and more than I could ever get, because as soon as you come out of school or club, you need to win something. You need to get noticed. And not many people are getting noticed this year when the recurring champions are the ones sitting here on the panel. And I'm grateful that we had the chance, but at the same time, I can hold the truth that it's not the best thing for the sport to do nothing. It's not the best thing for any sport. And we can all agree on that. It's just the times we live in. But we must press forward. And I'm not going to selfishly admit that it would be a great year for me, because this could have been the year I could have been the strongest I've ever been. You know, I'm 28, just hot off a world championship. Why don't I want to go try and do something I've never done before? Well, everybody says hold back after the indoor season. But that's why I've done 20 meets this year, because I wanted to do something.
We have another question that's come through the virtual mix zone. It's for you, Sam, from Alex Seftel. And he asks, did any particular memories from last year's world title win come back to you when you arrived here in Doha? One imagines that the first one was they didn't stick a cotton bud up my nose when I arrived at the airport 12 months ago. But anything else?
We were sitting in the room last night, and I won't go into too much about what we talked about, but all of the guy pole vaulters were in my room, and the same question came up about last year. We were sitting there in the stands, and I'm remembering vividly right now, watching the women's competition. And it was one of the coolest things I ever saw, because Sandy and Sidorova both went toe for toe all the way when the bar went to 595 until they both started to struggle. And I turned to Mondo, who was sitting next to me for the final. I asked him, with Nick Highsong, former Olympic champion, sitting in front of me, and Renaud Lavillenie, former Olympic champion, sitting behind me, hey, Mondo, we'll never be as even as we are now, before or since, as we are here at this competition going up to this World Championships. And I know Mondo, I know him inside and out almost as much as his coach knows him, but maybe not. But I think I know him pretty well as a competitor. And I asked him, what would you do if we tied? That's what I asked him. And the look on his face, he just got this pinched look of revilement about how could we do that? And I said, Mondo, no, think about it. We've never been as even as we've ever been. What if we got to a jump off and we both were at the end of our rope, the bar was at 6:02, and we couldn't do any more? What if we just shared a gold medal? What if we got 2 gold medals? you know, I love the competition. I love to jump off, but wouldn't that would have been the most memorable world championship in history? Two guys go all the way to the distance. They do as much as they can, and they say they can't do any more. And then they share the gold medal. They share the top of the podium. He didn't go for it. He still doesn't go for it. So if it ever comes to that situation, we're going to jump it off. And that I was never reminded more of last year than last night, sitting in my hotel room here in Doha, that, hey, we're not as even as we were last year. And so I'm going to be the guy that doesn't want to let it lie if it comes to a time. But that just shows you the level of competition these guys are willing to go to. They're going to roll. They're going to roll the dice. They're going to spin the wheel, and they're going to try to compete because that's what they do.
Excellent. I should say that Sam, of course, being the world champion, has been given a huge bedroom here in the hotel. So all the athletes were socially distanced in that conversation last night. Any more questions from the floor? Okay. Well, look, thank you both so much for coming and entertaining us and being so enthusiastic and answering so many questions. I know the events themselves couldn't be more different. You know, one's over in the blink of an eye and one lasts a couple of hours, but I know we're looking forward to both so much, and the very best of luck, and thank you for being here, Elaine and Sam.
Thank
Cool.
you.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone. We'll have a short break, and Timothy Cheruiyot and Hellen Obiri will be here shortly. I should also just mention, by the way, that Dr. Lath from the Diamond League medical group will also be here afterwards. If you have any questions about the medical side of this meeting and what they've had to do and the challenges they face to get it on, you can ask Dr. Lath some questions as well. So back shortly with Timothy and Hellen. Just to let you know, we're about 60 seconds away from Timothy and Hellen. So if you'd like to take your places again, that would be great. Thank you so much. In Well, welcome back, everybody, to everybody here in the room in Doha, and to everybody back at home or in the office watching us on the stream or via the virtual mix zone. Please do keep your questions coming. We have lots of questions coming through online for both Timothy and Hellen. Hellen Obiri, of course, 2 times a world champion at 5,000 metres, Commonwealth and African champion, Olympic Games silver medalist, the reigning world cross-country champion from Aarhus in Denmark. I think she's won about 14 or 15 Diamond League events, 2 times a Diamond League trophy winner and 5 times the national champion, and of course won that Monaco Diamond League 5,000 metre race in a world-leading 22:12. Timothy, the reigning world champion from Doha 2019, over 1,500 metres, has won the Diamond League 1,500 metre title for the last 3 years. Ran 3:28:45 world lead in Monaco, which was the second fastest time of his career. Also competed in the inaugural Maury Plant Memorial Race over 2,000 metres at the Inspiration Games against Team Ingebrigtsen, and won over 1,500 metres at the World Diamond League this year in Stockholm and Monaco. Welcome to you both. Thank you so much for being part of our press conference here in Doha. Hellen, if I could start with you. You ran a great race to win over this distance here in Doha last year, and also a world-leading time. So I suppose a very obvious question that, Doha has been a good track for you and a good venue for you in the past.
Thank you so much. Oh, thank you so much. It's my great opportunity to be back here in Doha. Actually, I like to race in Doha since 2014. I did my personal best in 3,000 meters. And also last year I won Diamond League first, and I won here World Championships. So I like to race here because it's favorable to me.
Looking through the field tomorrow, you've got, I think, another 7 Kenyans up against you. When you're on the start line, does having so many of your compatriots give you a sense of support, or do you think to yourself, hey, they're all out to get me?
When I'm in the start line and I see my fellow Kenyans are there to challenge me, actually I feel good because, without competitors, you cannot do well in races. So for me, I like to run outside the country with my athletes from Kenya. Yeah.
And as well as the Kenyan athletes, there will be the challenge from Ethiopia, I imagine. It's a really good quality race tomorrow.
Yeah, it's going to be like championships race, but for me, I've trained well. When I train well, I have no doubt in a race, and when I go to a race, I focus to do my best. In Diamond League, it's nobody's race. It's a competition which you are chasing time. So for me, I don't have pressure. Maybe I have pressure. Maybe I want to do something special. Yeah.
We have some questions from the floor, and also, as I say, some questions coming through online for Hellen. We'll get to those in just a moment. But Timothy, we mentioned your success this year over 1,500 meters and longer distances. But here in Doha, you're lining up in the 800 meters. So could I ask you to explain your thinking for competing over 2 laps here in Doha?
I feel blessed to be here again in Doha. It was last year. It was my first achievement in career to get goal here in Doha. So on Friday I will do 800 meters because I need to test on speed endurance. I was wishing to race in Diamond League races because last time I was racing in Kenya in altitude. So I'm happy to race 800 meters here in Doha.
I saw a quote from you after Monaco, and in Monaco they were lucky to have, I think, 4,000 or 5,000 spectators in the stadium. And you said how lucky you felt that they had spectators and you could perform in front of fans in the stadium. How difficult has it been for you to walk out in places like Stockholm and others, and looking around to see that unfortunately the stadium is empty, and you have to do it without the fans?
This year it was difficult for everyone. It was restricted in training and in some races. So when I'm in a race in this year 2020, I'm only focusing on running, and in the stadium there is speakers. So it is quite normal for me. Yeah.
And for many, as Sam Kendricks was mentioning earlier, this is the end of the season. It's certainly the last Wanda Diamond League meeting of the season. But how about for you personally? Is this your last meaningful race? Are you away to rest now, or do you have other plans for the remainder of this year?
For me this year, I feel blessed because I've run 2 races. This is almost 4 races. So this is the second last race for me because I'm doing continental tour in home, Nairobi. So I'm good.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. Let's take a couple of questions that have come in online via the virtual mix zone. The first one is from World Athletics. It's for Hellen. And they ask that you have won world indoor titles, outdoors and at cross country. After the Olympics, will you start to focus on running on the road with a view to winning more titles, running on the roads?
Okay, that's a good question actually for me. So after 2021, I'm going to move to road races because Olympic gold medal is the only career I'm missing in my pocket. So probably I'm going, if Olympics going to happen 2021, of which we don't know, but I'm preparing to move to road races from 2022.
Oh, you heard it here first. Well, best of luck when you make that change. And I just want to just follow that up, if I may. What is the difference between being a track athlete and a road athlete? One imagines that you probably have to do some more miles in training, but is there some other differences that you have to take on board?
I think there's a big difference between track and the road races because, in track, I normally specific on track session, maybe speed work, but if I focus on road races, I have to have a lot of mileage in my body because it's all about not speed working road or speed. It's all about mileage, so I'm going to work on hits.
Okay, thank you very much. Timothy, we have a question from NRK Sport, and they would like to ask you that you and Jakob Ingebrigtsen have had some amazing duels this year. When you wake up in the morning, Well, when we wake up in the morning and we know that you're racing against Jakob, we go, oh, we can't wait. This is going to be great. When you wake up in the morning, do you think the same, or do you think, oh, not Jakob again?
Jakob is a great friend of mine, and I love racing with him. He's a strong young guy. So every morning when I'm woke up in the terms of race, I feel strong, and because I believe in myself, I believe in training. So racing with Jakob is giving me to work harder, and also him is working hard. Yeah.
So I imagine that you're one of these athletes who believes that having this great competition between individuals within our sport of athletics is really important, because it can only make the sport a better spectacle for the public.
Yeah, it's very important because everyone is working hard. Nobody will sleep. So it's a good idea.
I think it is. Do we have any questions from the floor? I think hopefully we can find a microphone. Here it comes with its sanitary.
Thank you. My question is going to Cheruiyot. You say that in Doha you want to race in 800-meter 2 laps, so to test your speed and endurance. Is this supposed to be, that's what's missing for the race of 1,500 to break the world record, which is last for many years?
Come again?
You say that you will race 2 laps in Doha to test your speed and endurance in the 800-meter. Do you think this is what's missing to break the world record?
Yeah, I need to test myself in speed endurance because, in 1,500 you need to have speed endurance. So I'm always, last year when I was in Monaco, I ran my personal best, and then I go to Lausanne when I ran 800 meters. The first 800 meters I ran 1:49. So for now I'm trying to test my endurance. I have endurance, but the speed I'm lacking a speed for finishing it. Yeah. World record will come itself, and now I'm not saying I will break my world record, but I believe one day our world record will go.
Timothy, can I just ask a question about the difference between 800 metres and 1,500 metres? If on the 1,500 metres plan A does not work, you might have plan B or plan C. Because the 800 metres is so much more explosive and is so much quicker, do you have a plan B or a plan C, or do you just go out there and go, this is my plan for this race, and I'm going to stick with that plan for the duration?
In 800 meters, I'm usually trained with my coach, so we have a plan because 800 is faster than 1,500 meters. So we have a plan, because we are doing a lot of speed work in 300 meters, 500 meters. So we're having a plan.
And we look forward to seeing that plan tomorrow. One more, if you just wait for the microphone, which is coming. Thank you.
Thank you. My question is to both of you. Given the kind of fabulous year that you both have had on the track, how disappointing was it to see the Tokyo Olympics move to 2021? And looking forward to the Olympics from here, whenever it happens, I mean, we know it's scheduled, but supposing if it moves a little more behind, how does it shape up for you from here on?
Thank you so much for your question. Actually, it was like since January preparing for Tokyo 2020, but all of a sudden we received a sad news that there's no Olympics. So sometimes as an athlete you can just postpone even your dreams to 2021 because you want to achieve something good. So if you are good, you must be patient and train hard for that 21, because it's a pandemic all over the world. We can't change, we can't force Olympic to happen. Maybe we can't regret that why these things happen like this. So this year, 2021, it has gone, and now we are looking forward to 2021. Yeah.
It was disappointing because everyone was ready. Because of me, I started training in last year, December, November. I was focusing for Olympic, but the situation and the whole world was not good because of COVID-19. So we accept, and we are focusing to 2021.
Okay, thank you very much. Any more questions from the floor? Well, we've been through the questions from the virtual mix zone as well, so it just remains for me to say to Hellen and to Timothy, many congratulations on what you've achieved already this season, and good luck tomorrow. We look forward to your events and in whatever you do after the Wanda Diamond League is finished here in Doha. The best of luck for 2020. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you.
And thank you very much, everybody. Just a reminder that we have medical questions to Dr. Laith in a few minutes' time. Thank you.
Check. Excuse me. So for our next segment, we'll be signing our partnership with Turkish Air, the local organizing committee partnership with Turkish Air. Of course, Turkish Air made our job a lot easier by helping us bring the athletes here to Doha. And we hope that you stick around for a couple minutes. We will have the general manager representing the company in Qatar for Turkish Air joining us with Khalid Al-Marri. want to speak, you can just press the button. So, as we mentioned earlier, Turkish Airways is the official sponsor for the Doha meeting for the Wanda Diamond League. And they made the arrangements for the transits, for the flights, a lot easier for the athletes to arrive in Doha. And alhamdulillah, يعني, there were no issues, no equipment or anything that was challenging us to be ready for the event. And for now, we will have the signature of the contract, and afterwards we will have a quick message from Mr. Mehmet, representing Turkish Airways in Qatar. Mr. Mehmet, General Manager of Turkish Airways in Qatar.
Mr. Abdullah, Mr. Khalid, thank you very much. We are really happy to be here today. As Turkish Airways, we have the largest network in the world, and we have so many sponsorships, especially for the supporting athletics and the other types of sports. So today, inshallah, I'm very thankful to you to give us this opportunity, and I'm thankful to Mr. Nubani and Mr. Yu and my team, especially for building up this sponsorship. And inshallah, it will get as much the exposure that we are expecting from Qatar, and inshallah, we all us will be happy at the end of this event. Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody, for attending. This sums up our press conference today. If you have any questions about any details related to the event, we will be happy to answer your questions as on behalf of the local organizing committee. Thank you.